What would you say is the chief criticism of the Kalam cosmological argument, and then what would you respond with?
Well, by chief criticism, let me describe what I would say substantive criticisms.
Okay. Sounds good.
I don't think that the first premise, whatever begins to exist, is really susceptible to significant criticism. The idea that anything, and in particular the entire universe, could just spring into being uncaused out of nothing is, I think, just metaphysically absurd. Mm-hmm. So the controversial premise in the argument is the second one, that the universe began to exist. And I offer both philosophical arguments and scientific confirmation of this premise. Now, in response to the first philosophical argument based upon the impossibility of an actually infinite number of things, I think the most substantive response would be to simply say that that's the nature of the actual infinite. It's bizarre. Mm-hmm. It is strange, and just bite the bullet and accept these consequences. And my response to that, I guess, is that I'm kind of a common sense sort of guy, and I just do not believe that things like a Hilbert's Hotel or Bernadette's book, where you have an infinite number of pages in the book with no last page, that and on, the Grim Reaper paradox, that these sorts of things, I don't think they're possible in reality. Now, the second argument for the finitude of the past is based upon the impossibility of completing an actually infinite number of things by successively adding one member after another. And I think here the important and substantive criticism of this argument would be to deny the dynamic or tensed theory of time, which presupposes that temporal becoming is an objective feature of reality. Rather, one would defend a tenseless or static theory of time, according to which the universe began to exist only in the sense that a yardstick begins to exist. But obviously a yardstick doesn't come into being at the first inch or the first quarter inch or whatever. Yeah. And so in response to that, I've done my philosophical duty and published two scholarly books on the theory of time, defending a tensed theory of time, and offering objections and refutation of a tenseless theory of time. Now, with respect to the scientific confirmations from the expansion of the universe and from the thermodynamic properties of the universe, there I think the evidence is very clear. Alex Vilenkin, a very prominent cosmologist at Tufts University, says there are no tenable models of a beginningless universe, a past eternal universe. So I think that all that the critic can say here is that science is provisional, it's tentative, maybe these finds will be overturned in the future, and somehow the eternity of the past restored. And to that, I think the quite proper response is that we have no choice but to go on the basis of the scientific evidence as we currently have it, and that the scientific evidence we have is certainly strong and stable enough to warrant the conclusion that the universe is not infinite in the past. So those would be the most substantive criticisms of the argument and the ways in which I would respond to them.